Thank you very much for your patience, and thank you very much for your presence, not only physically as well, but virtually as well on our YouTube channel, JFF Live. Really appreciate that. Welcome everybody to this morning's squad announcement press conference for the upcoming November window of CONCACAF World Cup qualifying. November 13 against Trinidad and Tobago at the Hazley Crawford Stadium. Kickoff 7 p.m. Jamaica time, 8 p.m. Eastern Caribbean time. And Jamaica against Curaçao November 18 at the National Stadium, 8 p.m. Jamaica time. We're joined with the head coach of the Jamaica Senior Men's National Team, Coach Steve McLaren, who will first get into some opening remarks, and then after that we'll go right into the squad. Good morning, Coach.
Thank you, Simon, and thank you, gentlemen, ladies, for being present this morning. It's rather somber and low mood since I've been on the island. And our thoughts and our prayers are with everybody who's been affected by Hurricane Melissa. Condolences to the families who have lost someone very special and close to them. Our thoughts and prayers are with them. And myself included and all our staff from the UK, we watched, and the players, with horror at the devastation and what followed from the hurricane and the aftermath. And we'll all, while we're here, what can we do? We will try to put at least some positivity and a smile on people's faces in the midst of adversity. That's what we want to do. Our motto has always been to put a smile on the Jamaican island and on the people, on the families, on everybody, because there is nothing better than a Jamaican smile. I can guarantee you that. So that's what we'll be working towards. That will be our bit, what we have to do. We will support also in other ways, and I know the JFF are doing that also. We just hope that aid and relief can come to these people who are suffering at this present time. Congrats to Mount Pleasant for reaching the final of the Caribbean Cup. 3 years in a row Jamaica has been represented. It follows obviously from the Cavaliers' success last year, and hope they can follow that. And looking at the way they're playing and the form that they're in, it's a good chance they will do that. So congratulations to them. Onto the squad, which has obviously been put out there. The injuries that we have, Deschamps Bernard, I spoke to him a few weeks ago. He's still in rehab, still recovering, 3 or 4 weeks away from playing, which is great news. Amari Bell suffered an injury last weekend, will be out for 3 or 4 weeks. Leon Bailey finally got fit, was playing for Roma, was looking very sharp. Unfortunately, this week in training, injured his hamstring. And they say it's going to be about 2 weeks. I've spoken to Leon, who's desperate to play some part in the next 2 games. And from the medical report that we've had, it could be touch and go whether he may be fit for the second game. So what I've said to Leon is that we will stay in touch. He will do his rehab in Rome, and if he's any near to fitness for the second game, we'll definitely fly him over and get him involved in the second game. He wants that. From his loyalty to the country, he's devastated that he's picked up this injury, as he has. Casey Palmer's the other one who we brought him in the second game against Bermuda, played very well. Unfortunately, picked up a knee injury. We didn't think it was bad. It turned out it was a kind of medial in his knee, and they're saying 3 or 4 weeks with him. Again, he's like Leon, is unbelievably disappointed to be injured. He has a chance for the second game, and again, we will leave it open until after the first game, do the rehab at his club, and them two will report on Friday to see the progress that they've made. The inclusions from the squad that we've not had is Damari Gray is back and has been playing regular, and the introduction of Rico Henry, who since the summer and even before we've tried to acquire a passport. He's done the majority of things. He's flying in. We hope to get a change of association and a passport in place for the first game. If not the first, then the second. We met Rico in the Unity Cup. He came into the dressing room, came in to see the players, came in the meetings. So he has an idea, and he was enthused by what he saw in the performances in London. And he wants to play a part, and he has been itching to do that, coming back from a bad injury. So that's the inclusion from him. In terms of these games, we are focusing on one game at a time. So I don't want to talk about Curaçao or speak about them. Trinidad is the most important game for us. It's important that we go there, we show resilience, a good performance, and get a result in Trinidad, which will enable us to go into the final game, knowing that we need a win to qualify for the World Cup. That's going to be huge and important. The most important people are not the players at the present moment or the staff or us getting together. It's the people of Jamaica. They're the most important at this time. And we will gather together and show support and encouragement and as much aid as what we can possibly do. But the best thing that we can do, and the message to the players, is to qualify for the World Cup. That will be a huge lift and a boost to everybody. And it's important on Tuesday for that game that we have a full house. We get there from the kick-off at 8 o'clock, full house, and be prepared to fight along with the players for what will be the biggest game that has been in Jamaica for many, many, many years. So that's the goal, one step at a time, Trinidad first. Thank you, gentlemen, ladies.
Thank you very much, Coach McLaren. So just a recap of the squad before we get into questions from the media. Goalkeepers, Andre Blake, Jamali Waite, Tafari Chambers. The defenders, Dexter Lembekisa, Joel Latibodir, Ethan Pinnock, Damian Lowe, Mason Holgate, Richard King, Rico Henry, Greg Lee, Ian Frey. Midfielders, Isaac Hayden, Bobby Reid, Karoy Anderson, Joshawn Anglin, John Russell. And the forwards, Shamar Nicholson, Ramon Burrell, Bailey Ty Kadamatri, Demarai Gray, Ronaldo Cephas, Kaheem Dixon, Tyrese Campbell, Warner Brown, and Dujon Richards. So now we're going to open the floor for questions from the media. We kindly ask that you step forward to the microphone to pose your question to Coach McLaren. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Morning, Coach. Morning. Parkinson, One Umbrella Sport. How much does a player's type or quality as it pertains to the team? You know the type of play that you want from the team. So how much does the type of player determine whether they get included in the squad?
I think what I've done this squad is, look, I think, how long has it been? Nearly 18 months. And 18 months ago, on the first day, the goal was qualification for the World Cup. And in that time, we've used a lot of players, but we've also had a core of players who's been regular and have been in every camp and every game with us. And some have come in late, but have been a part of us since the summer in World Cup qualifying games. And what I've tried to do is I've picked 26 players, and included in that are players who have played from day one. A few who have obviously come into the squad and performed well and stayed in the squad. But these players have shown their loyalty to Jamaica, to come into the camps, and their willingness to want to achieve the goal, which is World Cup qualification. So that's why I've picked 26. That's why I've picked the players that I've played. They've been in from day one. I trust them. They trust me. We all know what we want from each other. It's very difficult to introduce new players now and new things and try different things. I don't think now is the time to do that. I think we have to bed down our principles, what we've been trying to do. And these games are all about attitude, fight, and the will to win. And we have to have more will than anybody to win. And also with God's will, that will happen.
Ricardo? All right, David, go ahead.
Morning, Coach. Morning, Simon. King from Ballbury TV. Coach, we've seen where players that are selected in the squad came on social media to show their support to Jamaica in light of the devastation of Hurricane Melissa, right, Coach? We know that it's already a task to qualify to the World Cup in itself, and I know that most of the players will be using this opportunity as motivation to assist us to go over the line. But has it been any additional difficulty, or has it been any additional pressure on the coaching staff and the players, knowing that getting over the line will boost the whole morale of the whole nation? Is it any additional pressure, or is it just being seen as motivation?
It's seen as the motivation that's been there from day one. Jamaica, why do they travel thousands and thousands of miles to come over? We said this 18 months ago. Everybody's goal was World Cup qualification, and we're on the brink. We've come this far. We've had 18 months working towards this moment. We've had ups and downs. We've had success. We've had failures, disappointments, high lows, and it all boils down to this. They know the importance. They know more than us. We don't need to pile any more pressure on them. We do that every camp they come. But I think we've got the added pressure of the people of Jamaica who are suffering at the present moment, and the devastation and travesty that they must be going through. We can't see that, we can't feel that. We need to be able to feel that, what the people are feeling as well. And if we can come together as one and get the feeling of the island, get the feeling of the people, because they're the most important. They're the most important. The people on this island, the families and the friends and the Jamaicans all over the world, they will be so proud if we achieve this. So that's the mindset we've had from day one. So it isn't a case of coming to the last camp and ramping up the motivation or ramping up the pressure. The pressure is there. We have to handle that, and the crowd will help us. I can't stress the importance of the game. Is 8 o'clock. We want to see the crowd there at 6 o'clock. We want to see them when we pull up on the coach. We want to see them when we walk onto the field to look at the field. We need to see them when we're doing the warm-up. We need them to be behind the noise, the music, the smiles, the motivation. We want to see that. We want to see the whites of the eyes of the people, to see how much it means to them, to know it means that much also to the players who must perform, to give to the people something which would be so special.
Thank you, David. Ricardo?
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
Ricardo Chambers, Sports Chambers. Just a couple of questions relating to Rico Henry. You mentioned, based on what you said earlier, it sounds to me like he doesn't have his Jamaican passport yet. Can you explain the process and exactly what you will be attempting to do to ensure that he gets it in time for that next game against Trinidad and Tobago?
Yeah, the process is ongoing. We have to have a change of association because he made 2 appearances at junior level for England. So that is in process. He must acquire a passport first. He's done everything in London that he needed to do. All the documents are in place. He just needs to visit PICA, apply, sign, and then pick up his passport the next day. So we're hoping to do that. Unfortunately, he plays on Sunday, so he can't come till Monday, so that will have to be Tuesday, Wednesday. Hopefully that will be done, and we get clearance on Wednesday or Thursday for him to be involved in that first game. If not that one, then hopefully by Friday, and then we've got the Monday for the second game.
Yeah, sounds to me that, based on the timelines that you've just outlined, that there requires some level of collaboration between the JFF and PICA. How is that going at this stage?
Yeah, that's always been the case whenever we've tried to acquire passports for players, and that has been difficult. That's a difficult process. We do look at other countries who seem to be straight away including players and getting players in, and all of a sudden, we see Trinidad and we see Curacao with new players that have come from nowhere. We don't know their process, but this is the process in Jamaica. We must adhere to that, and we do. So we try to plan early, and we have done with Rico since summer. And this has been the only opportunity, because a visit to the island to collect, to put in and then collect a passport has always been the difficulty in terms of the schedule that the players have.
Is this the most difficult process you've dealt with as coach in situations like this?
The process has been very difficult all the way through for 18 months, and I presume even before that. So it's one of the things that we have to deal with. But that's the process. We have to deal with it.
Sounds like you're not very happy with it, Coach.
Everything could be quicker. I'm not satisfied with anything. Everything should always be done quicker and sharper, and we should have this and we should have that. And maybe I ask for too much, but that's my job, to make sure that we fight to get the best players that we possibly can. All the other nations are doing it. You see with Trinidad, you see with Curacao, they're doing it, and we have to do it in our way, exactly the same.
Yeah, I want you to talk a little bit about Rico, Coach. I know he's had a couple of ACL tears in I think one in 2016 and one a couple of years ago. Both knees. He's 28 years old now. How much do you expect him to add to this unit, and how important do you think he will be, especially with Amari Bell now out?
Rico is a very good player. He's a Premier League player. And he's had bad injuries. He's come back. He's fought back. Shows the mentality of the boy. And he plays like that, with that kind of mentality. Enthused, loves playing the game. And he's, this season, not played regular, but had games. And is trained and is fit and looks very, very good. Looks very, very sharp. He played last week in the EFL Cup and played very well, along with Ethan, who's had minutes as well. So I have no hesitation in bringing Rico in. It's the ideal age. He's recovering. He's got the experience. He's a Premier League player. He can add to the squad.
And you're saying, Coach, that you feel he is ready to walk right into this setup?
Absolutely. Otherwise, I won't pick him.
Thanks, Ricardo. Javon?
Javon Parchment here from Unseen Sports TV. Coach, you spoke on don't want to really bring in new players at this moment. But other people will say Rico Henry will be new. And we have a striker, Trevante Stewart, is doing well in Israel for Maccabi Haifa, scoring goals and doing some good stuff at his club. What is the process, you're looking at right now in bringing players like that who are in tip-top shape, tip-top form in their club competition?
I think knowing players and working with players, I think, is always an advantage. If I go through the 4 strikers, Shamara's is the best in the Caribbean, and I think Shamar became our talisman You saw him in the last game, especially at home against Bermuda. He was the leader. He was the front man. He was the hustler. He was here. He was there. He was fighting for the ball. He was fighting for everything. And Shamar, we've had ups and downs with, in form, out of form, but he's coming at the right time. And the last game, so he's so important to us. The amount of goals that he scores against Caribbean teams, which is the reason why we brought him back into the fold. It's a no-brainer. As a talisman up front, you need that number 9, and he is it. We've brought in other players when we've struggled. First of all, we brought in Warner Brown in the St. Vincent games. We introduced him in the second game. He got the first goal, great goal. Got us such an important goal against the BVI for us to win. He brings energy, attitude, exactly what we wanted. We wanted strikers who could run behind, cause defenders problems, run in the channels, and also score goals. And Warner Brown, he scored goals. His goals have got us points. Against Guatemala, he scores 2. So he scored goals. And then in the summer, we didn't have Warner Brown, we didn't have Shamar, and we introduced Rahman Barrell. And Rahman, he scored his first game in the Unity Cup. And for the championship, he's got a good move to QPR, big club. And I think in the last 5 games, he scored 4 goals. So he's a striker in form. And you've got to pick a striker in form. As one of my staff said, when they're hot, get them in. And he's hot at the moment. And we brought in Cadamartri when we didn't have Rahman, and when we didn't have Shamar, and we didn't have Warner. Cadamartri came in, and he scored. He did great against Bermuda, scored against Trinidad. And if you notice all them strikers, one thing they've got, attitude. They work. They've got speed. And they can score. And that's so important in the process. And the other thing that they've got, the age of them, I think they're all under 23. So, we're introducing, not just we've got the experienced players, but also we've been introducing young players into the fray. We introduced Whisper the last camp. And we've been wanting to do that for a long time. So it was great to see him. So the blend of experience and youth, I think we've got really, really well. And the number 9s at the moment, although there are other players, we're going with what we know and proven.
Okay, Coach. Next question. The left-back position, we have Greg Lee and Rico Henry is coming in. But we are not sure if he will play the first game. Webster was on standby. He's playing very well for his club. I think he assisted in a game, and he's not included. Talk to me about that one.
If I could, and the JFF allowed me to, I'd bring 30 players in, because you're absolutely right. Every time I pick a squad, there are always 5 or 6 names, and I get killed for the 5 or 6 names that I've not included in the squad. And all of a sudden, people get disappointed because of that. So I only have 23 players. I bring in 26. They've allowed me that because if we do get injuries, especially after this weekend, we don't have time to bring people over. So that's why we brought that squad. Webster, really impressed with him the camp before, and he's unlucky not to be there. But Greg Lee and Amari Bell have always been the first choice left backs. Amari drops out. We've always wanted to bring Rico in, who's got that experience and Premier League experience, and that's why we choose him. If I could bring the likes of Kyle Duncan in and Webster, and we brought in Reed the last time as well. If I could bring 30 players, I would bring 30 players, because they're all of a quality to play for this team. But my choices are limited, and I go with what I know.
Based on that, you say your choices are limited. But when we look in the middle of the park, there's no out-and-out number 10, that creative player that you'd want to, create something for us. Casey Palmer is out based on injury. Had some good game in the last window. How are we going to create in that area without a number 10?
I think one of the things that we did in the Unity Cup, and I don't have it off the top of my head, but I think we scored quite a few goals in the Unity Cup. We were struggling, I agree, and we talked about that against St. Vincent, and we improved in terms of our chances. In the summer, we improved in the Unity Cup. In Guatemala, we scored 3 goals at home. And we scored even in the Gold Cup. In the World Cup qualifiers so far, we've scored 10 goals. So, we have players who can create, and we've got players who can score. We need to keep that going. So that's something we've always looked towards. And we've got players with speed, individual talent and ability that can create things from nothing. So we hope that will work in the next 2 games.
Is there any player on standby?
Yeah, there's a lot on standby, but I can't name them at the present moment. As I said, I'd love to bring 30 in, but they will be on standby. And we have crossed fingers today and tomorrow that every player comes through.
Thanks, Trevon. Matthew?
Hi, good morning, Simon. Good morning, Coach.
Morning.
Matthew McAnuff from McAnuff Sports. Coach, generally, when selecting a squad, how do you weigh a player's club form and minutes against their performances in the national team? And are there any specific data points that you generally rely on to make this selection? And which factor ultimately carries the most weight for you? And also, has that differed in this selection, given that this is the final round of qualifying?
Yeah, it's a good question, and you're right. We go on many things. We go on the eye and what we see for the club and what they produce for Jamaica. And I've known plenty of players who, when I worked with England, they gave different performances for England than they did for their club, and sometimes different performances for their club than they did with England. And you have to weigh that up, and that's called experience. And on the big stage, and when you have to deliver, being able to deliver. So these players in the squad are proven that they've been playing for Jamaica for many years, some of the experienced players, and they've been playing well. And you trust them. And trust is massive and huge. And that's why I've picked these 26 players, because I've worked with them before, I've seen them play for Jamaica, and I trust them. And sometimes I take their club form and I close my eyes. And sometimes I look at the club form and say, well, he's not playing, he's not getting minutes, so therefore he's not in momentum. So sometimes it's stats, sometimes it's the eye, and sometimes it's the gut. So they're the things that I pick a squad from. And again, that's what I've done. And hopefully it all comes together with 2 wins.
Also, Coach, has that general way of selection differed this time, given it's the final round of qualifying?
Yeah. Well, why change? Someone always said to me once, what have you been doing for the last 18 months? And the last 2 games you want to change everything and introduce this and introduce that? It's not the time to do that. It's knowing what you do best, and it's doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Marlon?
Morning, Coach. Marlon McFarlane, Jumpel fan.
Morning.
Coach, if I'm not mistaken, I heard that Ian Frey is more listed as a defender this time around instead of a midfielder. Is it that, you're more seeing him more as a right back more than even us helping the midfield this time around?
I don't think so. I think we've got Mason Holgate at the moment, who's playing right back for his club. Lati Berdier, who's played there for his club and for country. And Ian Frey, who can play right back and midfield. And as you know, we've, over the since summer really, we've been working towards inverting fullbacks and having flexibility. And when you've got a player like Ian Frey, who's a right back and a midfield player, you've got the ideal one who can play right back and invert. So we got the best of both worlds with Ian. So, yeah, we don't necessarily say he's a winger, he's this, he's that. We don't label players. The modern game is you have to play, and you have to play anywhere. And they are labelled in some speciality positions, but some you do need to play in several, and that's why we had Latty in from day one, because he could play right back, centre back in a 2 or a 3. He could play defensive midfield player and do a job in there. And players like that are invaluable. So having Ian Frey fit and available for us to play right back or to play holding midfield is perfect for the squad.
All right, Coach, as well, Anglin came off injured early in the game on Wednesday. I know you include him in the squad today, but can you give us an update on his health status? And if he's not able to continue in the camp, is there a specialist number 6 or number 8 as he's ready to come in?
We see Anglin as an 8, not a 6. He's a box-to-box. I like Anglin. I've liked him from day one. Yes, he came off after, 20, 25 minutes the other night. I watched the game and I was very worried when he came off, but the medical team, and we know them well because they're part of the medical staff, say he's okay. He's no problem, has no pain, has been training the last 2 days, will join us and train on Sunday.
Okay. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marlon. Any further questions? If not, I want to thank everybody for being here this morning. We appreciate your support, and stay tuned for more updates. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes, Coach.